In the last part, you have seen how to create a form validation by using Django forms. Here you can see if we submit an empty form, it will return an error. But these all errors are front-end errors which are being generated by the browser only. What if the browser validation is turned off by someone and they submit a form? What will happen in that case? Let's give it a try. Open your index.html template file and here add an attribute noValidate. Now save it. Now refresh the output. You can see here the max length, min length and required, these validations are all added into the input. However, if we try to submit a form with just 2 characters and add, it's generating an error. So why it's creating an error? And look at the error code. The view app1.views.index did not return an HTTP response object. It returned none instead. So let's get back to our editor and figure out why this error is occurring. If you check out the index method of your view, what we are doing here is we are dividing the view in 2 parts. If this is a post request, we are validating the form, and if the form is valid, we are saving the task in the database and redirecting the user to that particular page. And if it's a GET request, then in that case, we are fetching all the tasks from the database. We are creating an empty form and passing all that into the template. Now, what if the form is invalid? If the form is invalid, then in that case, Django form validation will generate some errors. And in order to display that error message to the user, we need to pass it to our render context. So how we can do that? We can do that simply by adding a render method here. And let's cut it from here and we will paste it at the top. So what we are doing is, at the top we are fetching all the tasks from the database, and after that we are checking whether it's a post request or a GET request. If it is a GET request, then we are passing all the tasks as well as the form we have created by using Django forms into the template. If it's a post request, then in that case we are creating a form instance by passing the current request, and after that we are checking if the form is valid. If the form is valid, we will create a new instance of task here and we will save it into the DB. If the process is done, then we will redirect the user to some page. However, if the form is not valid, then in that case it will render the exact same template, but in this case it will place the task from the top, but the form it will take this one. Here the form is getting the current request, so in that case it will hold all the error messages, unlike this one. Now save it and let's give it a try. Now let's try to submit an empty input. Here you can see the error message. And UL is being added to our template with the class error list, and inside that we are getting a list of list items which are basically the errors related to this input. So this is how we can use the form validation provided by Django to validate our forms at the front layer as well as the back layer.